and welcome to today's edition of The Verdict. The Verdict is a governance program that discusses issues pertaining to a number of issues on our governance system. Now, on the program today, we'll be discussing yet another interesting topic, the youth agenda ahead of the August 12 general elections. And to help me discuss the program today, I'll be joined by World Youth Leadership Foundation Director General, and that is Nalishebo Nyambe. Now, your host, I'm Patrick Soko, and today on the program we're also going to provide a platform for you, our viewers, so that you can contribute by SMS as well as calling live in the studio, so that you can interact and share your views in as far as the topic of discussion of today is concerned. Now, welcome to the program, Mr. Nyambe.
Thank you so much for having me, especially that it's my first time to be here.
Thank you. Our pleasure. We just want to, as we get into the program, we want to our viewers to understand who is Mr. Nyambe and how did you come up with World Youth Leadership Foundation? Okay.
Well, interesting. So Mr. Nyambe is a man with a short story, but long to explain it. Okay, so where do I start from? I always confuse where to start from. Okay, so Nyambe Nalishebo is my name. I'm a journalist by profession, radio producer, public relations, and mass communication and public relations personnel, as well as I'm a youth advocate. Yes, and the World Youth and Leadership Foundation came into existence in 2018, but it became active in 2019, towards the end of 2019. Then in 2020, we took a step further and we started now advocating for youths, and we looked at major challenges that the youths are facing in the country, and also the sources or the cause of those challenges that that the youths are facing, especially during this period in the country. So the World Youth and Leadership Foundation is an organization which was formed to turn youths into leaders that are responsible citizens that will be able to run the affairs of the country, and that will also be able to help build the good governance, also promote peace, love, and unity in the country, especially that Zambia is a Christian nation. So we looked at the fact that if youths are left without a good guidance and involvement, especially in good governance, human rights, advocate, also in entrepreneurship, as well as helping to curb the gender-based violences, as well as early marriages, teenage pregnancies, since most of the youths are too close to the perpetrators or the people that are involved in these vices, such as early marriages, child or teenage pregnancies, as well as drug abuse and alcohol, as well as political violence. So this is an organization that has brought different youths from different districts together, so that together as youths we can contribute to toward the fight against political violence, fight against any kind of violence, drug abuse, alcohol, as well as youth unemployment levels in the country.
Interesting. Now, we understand that you advocate for youths, but based on the definition of your organization, World Youth and Leadership Foundation, I'm looking at the aspect of world, but you are a Zambian organization. Where does that come from?
Well, think big and you become big. There's always a scripture that challenges me. Every time when I wake up in the morning, it could always click in my mind and say, if God has good or bigger plans for us, plans to prosper us, meaning we have to think big. So in 2016, I had to meet a colleague of mine who is based in US. She is a professor at the City University. So by then I was studying travel tourism and hospitality at Libes in Livingstone. Then after that, when we met, we had just some discussion about life and, about different issues in Zambia. Then after that, in 2018, she was sent back here to come and do some training concerning leadership training in Zambia. And that's how she called me that I'm back to Zambia, and this time around I'm on this mission. Can you come and become part and parcel of the leadership training that we're conducting in Zambia? That's how I attended the leadership training at the University of Zambia. And after the leadership training, then I had to brief her about the plans that I had to set or to come up with a foundation looking at the fact that the youths have remained unproductive, especially in the street nowadays. That's how I came up with a World Youth and Leadership Foundation concept, which was very strong because it is not only in Zambia, but it is also in US. It is not also only in US and Zambia, but we're covering the whole world. So this is a foundation which is a first step Zambia has taken to ensure that we change the mindset of the youths worldwide, not only in Zambia, but across the world, so that we can be able to come up together as youths and change the mindset, change the way things are being governed, the way things are run. If we come to another maybe discussion to talk about the opportunities for the youths, so many times when youths, especially in Zambia, have called for a proper representation, even in parliament. But because youths have no much resources to become powerful politicians, to campaign and, become what they want to become, or become political leaders to represent other youths in parliament, we've decided to say, okay, during this period, as we are supporting each other to support the development of the organization, we're going also to come up with trainings such as leadership, entrepreneurship, and mentorship training to impart knowledge in youths that would like to become leaders in the next coming general election. Not this year, but next general election. We're going to have leaders from the World Youth and Leadership Foundation. I call them leaders because of the name. Standing, the youths standing, the youths being supported by the youths, the church, and even also well-wishers, people that will be wanting to support the World Youth and Leadership Foundation, so that youths can also strengthen participation in governance issues and at least help in terms of governing this nation. We've also discovered that the reason why youths these days are behaving in the way they are behaving is because of lack of opportunities that are able to change their mindsets and to make them realize their full potential to becoming productive in the country.
Interesting. Well, in case you're just joining us, you are watching The Verdict, and today we are discussing the youth agenda in this year's elections. Now, talking about the youth agenda, there are a number of issues that are affecting the youths. Now, Mr. Nyambe, we would want to get your perspective. What do you think is the major role in the national governance youths have to play, based on your understanding?
Well, interesting. Based on my own understanding, I'll pick it in, I'll give an example of, at the moment, Zambia is in this period, which is an election period. And we are seeing youths already, some have already involved themselves in political violences. And we have projects such as election monitoring in the country. ECZ and other ECZ is looking for election monitors. They have different projects that are available in the country. So if we want youths to play a major role in this period, we have to involve them in election monitoring. We have to involve them in activities that will make them to realize how important they are to their communities, so that at least they can be kept busy and they'll definitely learn something, especially from these workshops. They'll be able to learn something that will make them to appreciate the governance, to appreciate democracy, to respect the rule of law, and also to become advocates of peace, ambassadors of peace, advocates of these issues that they are facing. We are seeing a lot of political leaders have been talking about political violence, say no to political violence. But if we just come in and say no to political violence, how are we going to learn? How are we going to appreciate that saying no to political violence? Saying no to political violence will work if we engage the youths in activities that will make them to be productive, activities that will enable their mindset to grow. So the role that the youths will play in this year's election, we as World Youth and Leadership Foundation, we have come up with a project which is called Violence Free Campaign. In this campaign, we are educating the youths from all the communities, from all the districts that are our members, those that we are able to reach and talk to, on the importance of governance, on the importance of election, and also on the dangers of political violence, how political violence has divided the country, divided some other country, and caused chaos in different countries. Looking at Zambia as a country which is a developing nation, this is the time when we need each other to cooperate and fight for economic development. Since the year 1964, Zambia has been political independence. If you look at the situation today, we have youths in the street that are not employed. We have youths in all the communities that are abusing drugs because they have nothing to do, and the only simple thing that they can afford to do is going in the street to abuse drugs. So if we can just engage the youths to say, let them be part and parcel of the project that comes during this period of election period, they'll be productive, they'll support peace, they'll promote peace, love, and unity. They'll even be able to stand and say, it is one Zambia, one nation. I cannot go and attack my friend because I've learned how democracy, I've learned the importance of peace. In addition to that, we are also in talks with SACOD. We want to sign a memorandum of understanding. That is Southern Africa's Center for Dispute Resolution. Yeah. So it's SACOD, which is the organization run by Boniface Chembe. Yes. We want to ensure that they look into, they advocate issues of governance, peace, and as well as unity and different human rights and different issues. We want the youths also to be at least mentored in a way that they'll be able to appreciate.
Yes, that issue actually I was going to tackle it at a later stage, the aspect of political violence, but now that we are already into it, I just want to get your perspective. There is an aspect, how would you categorize the youths? Because there are youths, for example, from those youths who have graduated from schools. There are also youths that are into trade skills or entrepreneurs, but there are also youths who are not doing anything. Based on your assessment, what category of youths is more prone to violence or are more involved in terms of violence?
Well, you've said there are youths that are graduates and youths that are not doing anything. The way it is at the moment, I'm not a politician. In Zambia today, once you complete school, you go back to the street, right? Yes, in most cases, a lot of youths, they don't find direct employment. Whether you are educated, you are not, you still go back to the community. A situation which has caused a lot of young people to even shun away from education. These days, it's very sad you find a young person is telling you education is not the key to success. Because of what? Because there are so many people that have attended higher education. There are so many people with skills. There are so many people with papers, degrees, and diplomas, but they are not doing anything. They've just packed their papers.
But have you also discovered to say, you talked about you launching a program to deal with political violence, and what have you identified as the root causes?
Well, interesting. I mentioned one of the things, youths not being involved or engaged in projects. Second thing is youth's project not being supported, strongly supported by the communities and the leaders as well as the church. So if we can inspire youths to work extra hard, we need to support youth-led projects so that at least they can be able to say, even if I complete my school, I'll go back and help out to develop the community. So one of the things that has caused the political violence is, one, the youths have become vulnerable because there's lack of opportunities. They're not kept busy. They are always free for anything that
But
comes.
other youths are busy at markets and bus stations.
Well, other youths are busy at markets and bus stations, but we are looking at what are they getting at the end of the day. If you come as a political leader, you come at the station and tell me that, no, since you're just getting one kwacha, I think for a day maybe you make a 20 kwacha. Here is the money. I want you to go and do this and this, or to go and attack such a certain group. They form groups. They'll do what? They'll go there because they've gotten something that is big. So we need youth to be mentored in a way that will help them to understand that money or anything cannot make me to attack another person, to do what? To be involved in violence. A political position which just comes and goes cannot make us separate. What can make us separate? Maybe if we talk about differences from where we're coming from, region and what. So tribalism has also contributed to political violence. Just because my neighbor is coming from this area and this maybe from southern province, then because I'm Lozi, I'll do what? I'll support maybe someone who is coming from southern province. Because I'm Bemba, I'll support someone from Chipata. So because my neighbor is from Chipata, is supporting someone from Copperbelt, then I'll do what? I'll attack them because I'll feel hurt maybe because they're supporting that person. So once we deal with tribalism, once we create opportunities for the youths and support youth-led projects so that they themselves can be involved in solving the challenges that they are facing.
But how do we support youth-led projects in a country where we are seeing the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development not really undertaking serious youth empowerment activities? Rather, we are seeing political parties now doing their own youth empowerment activities. In your own understanding, do you think that is sustainable?
Well, the only strategy that is going to help us is to come up with a platform that will allow you, Mr. Soko, maybe who is a supporter of a political party B, to access those opportunities. If myself, I'm running a come-together political party, then you are running a Fire Mountain political parties. Then myself, who is running a come-together political party, I come up with a project, an empowerment project. The more people that will access that empowerment project are those that are supporting my party. Some will shun away because they are not your supporters, and once they are seen with you, even in a photo, people will be saying, no, you are a supporter of that person. So these days, even taking a photo with a political leader, it's very, you get scared because you might be attacked at one point. No, you took a photo with that political leader, so you cannot access this empowerment because it seems you are part of that. So what we are saying is, the Ministry of Youth has done its role, yes, but they also need to do what? To identify the youths that are in the communities, the youths that should access different types of empowerment, and they also need to identify what kind of empowerment which can help the youths. There was a certain comment or some talks concerning getting back to the land, going back to agriculture, youth being involved in agriculture. But then the question is, have we empowered the youths with resources for them to go back to start doing agriculture? I had a discussion with some of the street kids on Sunday, and very sadly, the most thing that they raised is we are always picked to go to rehabilitation centers, but we haven't yet been asked on what we can do better. Some of them, they can do better, they can do music. If I take you to the street now and say, let me call these guys to sing for you. I think you can say music talent belongs to the street. Yeah, because they can do music, they can do drama, they can do they have different talents. So as we empower people, we need to also identify what they can do better. So that even as they go, they will be able, they have the potential, they also feel like doing what they want, what we are telling them to do. If we talk about agriculture, we need to do what? To provide at least resources in all the provinces. We set up groups, just like we have done as World Youth and Leadership Foundation. We have groups in each district of about 90 people per district that we have set together and said, this is the first group to benefit from the agriculture project, which will be launched on a later date that we'll be able to announce.
So funding the project? The
project is going to be, we are mobilizing resources. This is why we are not mentioning which date we are launching it. This project is not only, we are not only saying the government should come and support this project. No, every community leader, everyone that lives in a community where people live, they must take keen interest in promoting this project because one, it will help to reduce youth unemployment levels. It will also help youths to become productive in terms of creating their own businesses and their own employments. Yes, so we have a strategy and we have come up with a system which would definitely help us to at least help or empower about 10,000 youths countrywide with the agriculture, resources, businesses, and youths. 10,000 youths will be offloaded from the street. This complies of those that have qualifications, that have gone to colleges, those that have not gone to colleges, and those that have not even completed education. Once that project starts, we'll be able to do it, to encourage even our youths to do it, those that have never been to school, to further their education, those that have never been to college also to further their education, so that as we work together, they can also have an advanced understanding or knowledge on how we can promote the growth of the economy in the country.
Well, our dear viewers, in case you're just joining us, we are discussing the youth agenda in this year's election. My guest on the program is coming from the World Youth Leadership Foundation, and is the Director General, Mr. Nalishevo Nyambe. You can also participate on the program by actually calling the numbers that are on your screens there, by adding your comment or views to this topic of discussion, what you think political parties need to prioritize as far as addressing issues to do with the youth. Remember, the young people are in majority, and even in this year's elections, the young people will make the decision on who is going to form the next government. So basically, you can also share your views on how you think these political parties need to ensure that they advance the youth agenda going forward. Now, as we proceed with the program, Mr. Nyambe, we also want to get your understanding regarding how are you helping the young people understand the various political party manifestos. We've seen the PF has launched its party manifesto, being the major political party as the ruling party. The second largest political party, the opposition United Party for National Development, UPND, has equally launched its party manifesto. And just yesterday we saw the People's Alliance for Change launching its party manifesto. Others, the Leadership Movement, the Heritage Parties, there are a number of political parties. We have 19 presidential candidates in this year's elections, and which gives citizens a variety in terms of whom to choose from. But you, as an organization that seeks to promote issue-based politics, how have you interacted? How are you going to help these young people understand the political party manifestos of these people as they vote? So they vote based on the understanding as opposed to just voting anyhow.
Okay. So one thing that we have done is during our Saturday meetings, we do have our Saturday meetings every week here in Lusaka.
Where?
That's Lord House. Yes. So now, we want to ensure that we also open some centers in all the districts across the country so that we can start engaging the leaders, the youths from political parties youth wings, youth leaders, so that they can be coming now to share with us what really each and every point in their manifesto mean, and what they are also trying to maybe achieve at the end of the day. So we are also saying politicians, during this period, we have also the project that I've just mentioned, Violence-Free Campaign. Under that project, we are engaging political parties from different parties to come and explain, and also to talk to them on what we expect as youths in the country, even as elections or campaigns start. What we expect, what we want to see, and also questions that we have about the manifestos. We have seen so many times, I'm not attacking political parties,
No,
we have seen so many times, political parties have come to say, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. But the question that we're asking is, each one of the political leaders, they had enough time from the first day of the first 5 years, from the first day of the 5 years, to see or to look into the plight of the youths. Apart from you being an opposition party, what have you done for the youths? If you can mobilize resources for elections, why don't you do that to help the youths or empower the youths before the time of election? Why should we see political leaders fighting for a group of youths, of people, to say, no, Southern Province or Eastern Province is mine, this is no go area? Where have you been? It's very sad that in some district, our youths have complained that their leaders have not been seen for some time, and they only come during the time of campaign. Where have you been? You are the leader who is supposed to represent the voices and the decisions or the challenges that people are facing in those districts. Where have you been for you to just come now? So we are saying we are involving the political leaders together with the ruling party, so that we shouldn't just put the burden on the government to say this is the work of the government. And I keep on saying it's very sad that youth unemployment levels is now being a political issue which people have politicized, when they also have a potential to contribute to curbing the vice. If, for example, a political party says, in all the districts or all the provinces, I want at least even 100 people from this year till the next election, or from the 5 years period, to be empowered with this and this, and they provide resources for those people. There's no one who is going to go there and say, don't vote for this one because he has not done this and this. Your work will be able to speak for your behalf or for yourself. Because of what you have done will speak. There's no one who will need to ask and say, no, what have you done? Because what you have done will speak. So we are saying political parties will be engaged. And during our engagement, we have also come up with a group of youths that will be involved in governance issues, so that they can also talk to these political parties, so that if there is any issue of violence in any community, that leader who is going to cause that violence must do what? Must be held accountable. So that youths can start now saying, this is not what we agreed. We agreed to say, you are going to support peace, love, and unity. Why should we fight? When this time of elections, this is the time that we need to come together and say, now it is time for us to select our leaders. We have come a long way together. Now, who are we going to select? It's just the same way like people are doing when it comes to adoption. Is it adoptions? I've seen a lot of people, you know, those that were standing as MPs not being adopted to stand this year. So just the same process, that's the beginning of the process. So if you can freely participate or freely understand that my political party has not given me this opportunity to stand this year, I will still support it. It is still the same. We need to ensure that we support peace, love, and unity, because Zambia is, one, a Christian nation. Two, Zambia is a country that a lot of countries are watching. They want to see how Zambia, which is called a Christian nation, is going to do what? To behave in this election period. They want to see how Zambia, which is governed by Christians, is going to, to conduct the elections. So just to conclude, we are also engaging the church. Apart from the church, we are also engaging community leaders so that at least we can come together as one voice to say no to political violence. Thank you.
But what is your view in terms of political parties making fake promises, especially during this period, because youths will be assured of heaven on earth? How can we look through such maneuvers as young people? What is your take on that? Okay,
the best thing to do as youths in the country, before any promise comes, everyone knows about. I'm not aware if there is any new political party which is coming, which has just come from nowhere which has been registered to say this political party is also standing. But we also know, we know all the political parties. We know what they are capable of doing. We know what they have done. We know what they have done. We know what they have been doing. And each and every election, people are promised. Yes, it's more like a promise. But then, what we do not need to forget as youths is, what are we looking for? Are we looking for promises? Are we looking for solutions? So if, for example, if myself I'm a politician, I always promise you that, no, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, and this. I'll give an example. If I have been standing for more than 5 years, or for more than 5 times as an opposition leader, then I haven't done anything. I've just been promising. But when are those promises going to come to pass? What I'm saying is just to say, political leaders, whether you're opposition, you need to ensure that at least you do something that will show that indeed you have a heart for the future of the youths.
Something as in what? Because those are just individuals trying to aspire for national governance.
Okay.
Or to govern the country. So how do they do things within their means?
Okay. One thing that I would like to say, this country is for everyone. Zambia is for everyone. Government is not supposed to be always blamed to say, no, it is for government, it is for government. No, we are the same people that makes government. We are the same people that are living in this nation. So the political parties, those that are just coming in, they need to find ways and means to help the youths.
Such as what?
We talk about empowerment. I was giving an example of saying, if you've been standing for some time, this time around, try it this way. Get at least even 50 or 100 people in each district. Don't just focus on one district as an opposition leader. No. You can pick different people from different districts and say, these are the groups that I want to empower. In a 5-year time, you have the first year, the second year, until the year 5.
Where are you going to get the resources?
One, where do we get the resources when it's time for campaign?
For campaign, it's you may use your resources, but or do you necessarily need to compete with the government?
It's not a competition. It's working for the youths. You're not competing with anyone. You are working to better the standard of living of the youths. You're not competing with anyone, but one, if you have organizations that can sponsor or support you, the same way they support you when it's time for election, partner with them. Come up with projects. How are non-government organizations managing to come up with projects? Then they are sponsored. If you are a political party, come down, go on the ground, look into the challenges that the youths are facing. Try by all means, engage different stakeholders. Come together. Don't just stand and separate yourself. Don't let politics divide or separate us. Let's come together as political parties. Opposition parties, you can make it to come together and say, this year till next year, I want to empower youths from this district. And 90,000 will do. You come up with a group and then you say, this is what I want the youths to do in this area. If you want, you can name it with the name of anything else apart from the name of the political party, because people politicize it. Give it a name and say, I want to do this. This is the business for the youths. Let them start doing that. That already, it is a language that has spoken on your behalf to say, okay, if this person can do this even when he or she is not in government, or he's not a ruling party, meaning we are able to trust them and say, okay, more is coming. Even when you are campaigning, you're just saying, okay, so more is coming, we have this and this and this. Yes, I'm sure that will help, especially when it comes to promises, because so many times youths have been promised, but are we going to let our promises die just because you're an opposition party that is not given an opportunity to win?
Well, we are discussing the youth agenda ahead of this year's election. And my guest on the program is Mr. Nalishevo Nyambe from the World Youth Organization. We are discussing a topic that is actually most talked about, especially during this election time, because youths most of the times have been used as tools of political violence. Now, how do we ensure that there's no reoccurrence? We have seen assurances from the Zambia police in terms of ensuring that the country holds violence-free elections. We have seen the commitment from these political parties. But based on your understanding, how do you think would best uphold these commitments to ensure that the country manages to actually hold violence-free elections and ensure that young people are able to vote based on ideas that have been put forth by these political parties?
Okay, first and foremost, as political parties, you need to ensure that you give each and every person who belongs to your political party, let them understand your rules, your manifesto, and let them support that manifesto. If I am political A, the language that I speak, even someone who is my supporter in Muchinga should also speak the same language. So what do I mean? So many times when political parties have assured us, because that is more like you are assuring the nation to say there will be peace, love and unity, but how much time have you taken to sensitize and advise or to educate your followers on how they can not participate in any violence or political violence?
Well, our dear viewers, you can also participate on the program by dialing the numbers on your screens so that you can also add your voice on this topic of discussion. The youth agenda in this year's election is our topic of discussion. Now, a number of issues will be discussed on this very platform. Yesterday, we equally had another organization discussing election monitoring. We've also hosted a number of organizations on this very platform to discuss the elections that are coming. Now, tomorrow, the campaign period will be on full swing. And even on this very platform, we anticipate to host a number of political parties and a number of electoral stakeholders so that we can discuss issues pertaining to the holding of the general elections. So now, getting back to the topic of discussion on our program today, youth agenda, we also want to get your perspective on how you think should be the role of the church and other organizations in ensuring that the country manages to hold these elections free and fair.
Okay, the church is a major key stakeholder. The fact that every youth belongs to a church. They have a church where they're coming from. If they do not belong to a certain church, their parents come from a certain church where they're coming from. If they don't belong, the parents don't go to church. Their political party leader belongs to a certain political or a certain church. So, one, the church should base their message on peace. This is not something that we were supposed to start doing this year. It's too late. We are supposed to start doing this the first day after the elections. This should be our daily routine, to base our messages on peace. Let us teach people how well they can live if they support peace, if they fight...
Okay, just hold on to your thought. We have a caller.
Okay.
Hello, you are through to Camden TV. May we have your name and where you are calling us from?
Okay,
Oh, you can go ahead. Come again?
Yes, in the issue, I'm going to the leadership present on good
We have a bad connection there. Please kindly call us again if you can. You can also participate on the program by dialing the number that is scrolling on the screen. We couldn't go through that. We couldn't get the message which our caller was trying to put forth because of poor connectivity. However, we proceed with the program. You can still calling on the program. We'll be able to pick your call so that you can interact with us as well as other viewers. Now, still discussing what we were. I hope you had on to your thoughts.
Yes,
you were discussing. You can proceed.
Okay. So what I was explaining is the church should continue speaking against violence. Should continue educating the youths on the importance of peace. Should continue engaging stakeholders that have knowledge about good governance, to also give them a platform at church where they can talk to the youths. Let us have those advocates that advocate for good governance against political violence. Let them also be given a platform so that they can speak to the youths, they can educate the youths, and help to mentor the youths to become the strong youths that will say no to political violence, which will be coming from deep down their hearts. We can blame the church, we can blame the political leaders, but at the end of the day, it's us ourselves as youths. What do we do when we go out there? How well do we represent ourselves? How is our language? What do we speak when we go outside there? We also need to learn this, especially that.
We have a caller. Hello, you are through to Camden TV. May we have your name and where you are calling us from? Okay, you can go ahead with your contribution, Mr. Muleng.
My contribution was what the people are saying. This man is that because opposition parties, they can't use their variety and people for that is important. The government is because the money they use is because the tax care. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for your contribution. Well, you can also participate on the program just like Mr. Mulenga by dialing the number that is on your screens. Now, Mr. Nyambe, you've heard our caller there suggesting that it is not ideal to advise that political parties use their resources to mobilize and hold empowerment programs. So what is your take on that one?
Well, if you love the nation, if you love the country, if you love the youths, what you love on its own doesn't deal with conditions to say, no, because I'm not this, I cannot do this. The love that you have will force you to do that. Love is uncontrollable. If you love the nation, you love the youths in the country, you do what you can to help them. You cannot let someone's child or your child dying just because you are not a doctor, you don't want to take them to the hospital. In this case, the government is a doctor, you are a parent. You're not the doctor. What do you do when you see youths are doing what? Complaining. You help them out. Let's operate in a way that to help to do what? Or let's believe and support the nation like parents. Let's remove the politics if you want to support the youth in the country. Once your term is done, or once the elections are done, as we come back next year, let's now remove politics to divide us, but let's operate as parents to the youths that will be the future leaders that will lead the next generation. If you let the youths, depend on government to say employment will be created by the government, this will be created by the government, everything is the government, what have you done, or what are you doing for you to show us and give us a sign that you'll be able to do something better than what we are seeing?
We have a caller. Hello, you are through to Kamni TV.
Good evening.
Good evening. May we have your name and where you are calling us from?
My name is Charles Melo, calling from Qatar.
Okay, you can go ahead and pass your contribution.
Yes. Mr. Nyambe, good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Quite all right. Mr. Nyambe, I appreciate your concerns, but I'm of the opinion that you are too idealistic and not practical, as if you don't live in Zambia. The patriotic front government, yes, can support or rather can allow more opposition parties that support them to allow, for instance, youth empowerment programs, but they cannot support the main opposition in PNG because of all fears that you yourself know. So if you have to take it seriously, I would advise that you counsel the party that you win on those protests that beg government to become tolerant. Because you know for sure that the patriotic front government is not tolerant. You know that very well. After the experiment, several times tried to donate to various communities within Lusaka, and you know very well that the PS government has rejected that. When there was the president was checking that side in Lusaka where you are, HK tried to donate the generator thing, and the PS government shamelessly said not to that. So try to talk to the PS government, or since we know that this government is losing, the government that will win on 12th of October, you come to that government to take a different step from what PS has been doing in the last 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you for coming through. Now, Mr. Nyambe, you have another challenge there. There was an incident where is referring to that the opposition leaders are not given opportunity to undertake such activities like supporting programs and supporting government initiatives, like complementing government efforts, like for pointing out the aspect of donating a genset at Chawama First Level Hospital by the opposition leader. Now, what is your take on that?
Okay. Well, my take on that...
And that you are also idealistic.
Okay. My take on that, I think there must be a very big gap between myself, who is speaking on behalf of the youths from an organization, someone who is speaking from the political party. If I come here as if I say I'm a supporter of this political party, yes, I'll be able to say, okay, what are some of the issues? But here is the issue. We are trying to do what? To bring all the political parties together so that they can change the mindsets of politics, or they can now start focusing on issue-based politics. The politics that will be able to supplement the effort of the developing of the nation, not saying because the government is blocking or because the ruling party is doing this. I earlier mentioned to say, if you can come up with an initiative, this is also a free advice to all the political leaders. If you can come up with an initiative, empower youths, not in the name of a political party, because once you start, you come with a political party name, everyone is going to politicize what you're doing. Yes, so empower youths, not in the name of a political party, but as a parent
But are you aware that once you're a politician, everything is associated with your political affiliation?
Everything is done like that. But if I say today, I say I want to empower the nation, I'm going to pick these groups from these different groups from different districts. I will empower everyone, from whether it's from the ruling party, from my party, from the other parties. I'll empower everyone. Once you come as a political party.
Then, okay, before you advance that further, I just want to first let you know to say, probably the argument of our two previous callers is that we have duty bearers, people that have been given responsibilities to advance national development and to implement government policies. Hence, anybody else doing that, they are just doing it out of goodwill. And it's not a guarantee that whether you are a political leader, you also have the resources. I think based on that aspect, you may be a political leader, for example, of a political party A. You've just managed to pay your nomination fee, 95,000 kwacha. But that doesn't mean that you have the capacity to actually empower everyone. But you want to make sure that you take over government and suggest to say, when I'm given a chance, I would want to govern in this kind of arrangement so that the young people can benefit from my way of thinking or my ideas or what I want to implement. What is your take on that?
Okay, so just like you've put it, and it's very clear for everyone, I'm sure everyone understands. There are some political parties that have not managed to pay the fee that you've mentioned. Not because they may be, in some cases, because they don't have enough resources, just like you have said. And there are some political parties that have been there for a long time. They have been paying, and they also do what? They do activities, empowerment project, they empower youths as well. Yes, just like he was mentioning, like he gave an example of the opposition UPND, that the opposition UPND wanted to empower or to
okay, we have a caller.
Okay.
Hello, you are through to Camden TV. May we have your name and where you're calling us from? Hello, come again.
I'm saying
Can you kindly hold your phone properly? Okay, we lost that one. You were explaining, Mr. Nyambe.
So, what we need to do as one Zambia, which is a nation with a motto, one Zambia, one nation. Let's put away our political differences and come together to support the youths for us to see youth unemployment levels going down. If we leave everything to the ruling party, it is also a political party. And I'm speaking this, I'm not only...
There's a ruling party and the government.
Yes, I'm speaking this to all the political parties, not only the opposition political parties. But the thing is, if we are going to allow our political differences to bring limitation on how we are supposed to support the effort of each other, maybe to support youth in terms of youth unemployment levels, we're going to see this trend is going to grow and grow bigger. But what we need to put in mind is every political leader is a parent. They need to come down now and step down on that issue on that aspect of politics when it comes to supporting the youths. Every youth belongs to this nation. It is their nation. And therefore, our political differences should not cause us to let youths struggle because there are no employment. If you are a political party listening, by now what you have to do is ensure that you go in the field or go on the ground. Look at what people or the youths are going through. See some of the potential opportunities that you can help them with. Empowering a youth doesn't require thousands of money. Even just a simple business to say, okay, guys, this is a group. I want you to do this and this. You don't need to even announce to the media to say, no, I'm doing this in Kaflafuta, I'm doing this in this. But go there as a parent, not as a political party. Go and help.
But how are they going to vote for me if they are not?
Now there comes. Now.
We have a caller. Hello, you are talking to Camera TV.
Hello, thank you so much.
Yes, may we have your name and where you are calling us from?
This is Ted Hamonga calling from Nigeria.
All right, sir, you can go ahead with your contribution.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to say hi to my young man, Yande.
Thank you.
If we were to see these differences, especially from the opposition and the ruling party, these guys, they need to be empowering these guys fairly. If they're saying that the ruling party, that there is an empowerment program which has come, they need to empower the youth from the opposition and the youth from the ruling party. And again, these politicians, they need to train their youth. They need to sit them down and tell them that, you guys, politics is not about violence. And that's when we'll see that things will go away in the land of Zambia. Otherwise, if this leader is not condemning violence, nothing will work out in the land. We can pray and do other stuff, but if these politicians are not there in the forefront to talk to their youth, I'm telling you, nothing will change. So the best way, if there is a program which the government has, let it be on both parties, the opposition and the ruling party. And that's where we'll see fairness. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your contribution, sir.
Okay.
Well, he's saying that the government is not picking on political parties. He's saying the government has to empower youths from opposition political parties, youths from the ruling party, so that no one feels sidelines. You were mentioning the aspect of putting politics aside and living as one Zambia, one nation. There, you can pick it up from there.
Okay. So now, just to say just a few words, maybe just reacting to what he's just from saying. You know, one thing that has made a lot of people or a lot of political parties, to maybe get scared of or shun away from having access to some of the empowerment is because, one, only those that are politically connected are having full access to some of the empowerment. Not only from the ruling party, but even from the opposition parties. This is why we are seeing people fighting, because they don't want, because they have seen you with that political party. Once you come to this side, then they'll say, no, you belong to that party, you're not part of us. But we are saying, here is a nation, Zambia, which is a small country. How are we going to come together and support the development or the welfare of the youths? It's by putting our political differences aside. Let's come together in love, understanding that we are a Christian nation that is governed with the principles, the values and the morals of Christianity. Let's reconcile, even before the actual campaigning period starts this week. Let's come together and reconcile so that our followers will be able to see us as political parties, mingling or talking to our opponents. That will also paint a picture that will always stick in the mind of a youth to say, why should I fight if my boss was with his boss? If my political party, my leader met with him, they were okay with it, they were chatting and doing what? So reconciliation is going to help us also to pick a good example of how we are supposed to, conduct ourselves during this period.
Well, in case you are joining us, we are discussing the youth agenda in this year's election. And you can also participate on the program by dialing the number that is on the screen. But just now, we'll take a short break and we'll be back on the other side.
The much awaited for CAMNET conference is now scheduled for May 2021 with your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
we have believed that every Zambian was born for greatness, and that you and I can contribute to the development of this nation.
The big questions to ask are, can Zambia develop through agriculture? Can we produce indigenous Zambian millionaires? Plan not to miss this national conference on empowering Zambians through agriculture knowledge. Dates, 28th to 29th May 2021. Time, 0730 hours to 1630 hours. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Charges, 950 kwacha, lunch inclusive for both days. Payments through via mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010, or you can pay via Stanbic Bank account number 91 3000 1825 325. Speakers will be Professor Reda.
We need Zambia to be one of the best nations in Africa.
Professor Munkumba.
If you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything. In 2 weeks' time, it's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it.
Professor Msongole.
Agriculture can actually solve our unemployment for our youth. Through exports, agricultural exports, we can also stabilize our foreign exchange.
Honorable Bobs Chinga.
When you do a budget, you plan it so that all the sectors, especially those that could give you low-lying fruits, in other words, you can achieve a lot with it, are the first things you do first.
And biologist Kamweneshe.
If we came together and put our hands together and concentrate on the soil. The people in Kenya, these Swahili people said, Dongo ni mali, means soil, that's money.
Register your participation through Camnet lines. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We thank you for staying tuned. We are discussing the role of youth in this year's elections, the youth agenda to be specific. Now, my guest on the program is Mr. Nalishebo Nyambe. He's the Executive Director or Director General of the World Youth Leadership Foundation. It is a new organization that has been here since 2019, but they have been advancing the youth agenda, and are going forward. They want to train leaders, especially young people who are going to take over from others going into the during the 2026 general elections. Now, Mr. Nyambe, as we come towards the end of our discussion, where we had that interesting subject that brought out a number of issues from our callers regarding how the opposition should also play a role in terms of empowering young people. Now, I want to find out, how have you been interrogating various government policies in as far as youth empowerment is concerned, in as far as youth development is concerned, because there are a number of policies, and we also had a good policy action plan on youth, which was launched by President Edgar Lungu sometime in 2016. Now, I want to find out your perspective now. Since you are a youth organization, I should assume you work based on the fundamentals of the Ministry of Youth and other youth activities in the country. How are you interrogating those policies? Are they adequate to advance the youth agenda?
Well, I will straightforward and say there's much more needed to be done for the welfare of the youths in the country. One thing that I will say is each and every day the population keep on increasing. So there's much more that is needed to be done. Government can do its role. The church can play their role. Farmers can play their role. Politicians also can play their role, because this is something that is supposed to be done now. So the youths in the country, in as far as you have mentioned empowerment, if we were to say, let us pick one area here in Lusaka and ask how many youths have been empowered. They will say, some of them will say in this area, no one has been empowered. Why? Not because empowerment hasn't been there, but because of the population is growing. So seeing empowerment coming maybe 6 times in a year, it's this just tells you that this situation cannot curb the challenges that the youths are going through. So one thing that would like to strongly say, as we conclude, as you said, is for the youths to be involved in the development of the nation, there is need of cooperation from both the youths and the government. The youths, organizations, and other organizations, international organizations as well. They need to take in interest in projects, or at least inspiring youths to run projects that will be able to create employment for themselves. The overdependence that Zambia or people in the country have had on employment should now reduce, because we have so many youths that have no employment now. Now, we look at that person who has no employment today. In the next few years from now, they'll be able to have children. But if those children, for example, if myself I'm unable to find an employment today, how sure am I that my children will be all employed? In some communities, there are some children that are not going to school because of what? The parents don't have money to support them. Now, if we can implement other policies that will be able even to cater, like, for example, grade 1 to 7, is it grade 1 to 8 to 7? It's free, right? But grade 8 to 12, there are some people in the communities that are unable to pay. At the moment, we're talking about the economy. Everything is changing. So if we can again come up with policies that will help to support the children from grade 8 to grade 12, it will also help to advance their mindset, their thinking. If we can educate more people, especially the young ones, we'll be able to change the next generation. We also need to look into the curriculum. There are some subjects, the fact that now we're talking about peace, let's also teach children on the importance of peace, so that as they grow old with a mindset to safeguard peace the country is enjoying. So there is very much that is needed. It's not only about monetary form of empowerment, but also mindset change, and as well as entrepreneurship, skills to different youths in the country, so that as they complete their education, they can be able to set up their business and not to wait for the government to employ them.
Well, Mr. Nalishevo Nyambe, would like to thank you for finding time to be part of the program.
Thank you so much for having me, and you are really doing a great job to support the youth.
Thank you. Now, our dear viewers, we have come to the end of the program, but just a reminder of what the program was about. We were discussing the youth agenda in this year's elections, and my guest is coming from the World Youth Leadership Foundation and is the Director General, Mr. Nalishevo Nyambe. The verdict is brought to you courtesy of Kamni TV with the view of creating an informed citizenry. And we're going to bring a number of issues on this very program to ensure that you, our dear viewers, get abreast in as far as holding the general elections is concerned. From me, Patrick Soko, stay tuned until next edition of The Verdict, which will come on Thursday. Stay tuned.